Right on. Well, welcome to Life After Addiction Indictment. I am blessed today to have a guest, Andrew Sayles, who's just an amazing individual. He's got an incredible story. I know in, today's world, we all have our stories. Life tends to, give us our ups and downs and we all have our life stories. A lot of them are different. A lot of them have a lot of similarities. And I think, I believe the universe does its thing, and Andrew and I have connected, and I don't think there's any accidents. So Andrew, I'm excited to have you here today. Welcome, man.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here. I think what you're doing here is great and can benefit the world. And I feel blessed to be a part of it. Thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. That's what I'm doing. We're not going to make this about me. I want to really hear your story, and with what I'm doing with Life After an Addiction Indictment, you know, that's exactly what I'm trying to do is, help other people really reclaim their life again. And, as I've kind of done some due diligence on you and the conversation we've had, I mean, dude, you have a great story, and it's not easy to go through prison and other things that are tough in life that knock us down, and come back and to really reclaim your life and really go out and make a difference and impact others. So tell me a little bit about your story. Where you've been and where you're at, because it's pretty awesome.
For sure, man. I have a pretty crazy story. I was just grew up growing up. I sold drugs from 15 to 20. When I was 20, I got caught. These cops came to the house I was selling out of. They beat my ass. They took my drugs and they let me go. And so I'm thinking I got robbed by some crooked cops.
Were they like
Well,
undercover? So
fast
they're,
forward two
oh,
years
so
later,
okay, I got you. So they were in uniform, right?
they were detectives, so they were wearing suits and stuff.
Okay,
Um,
okay, that
so
makes
it
sense.
was a
You weren't
really
sure
weird
at first.
situation where they picked me up on the yeah, they picked me up on the street actually and took me back to my house. And it was a really
Wow.
weird operation they were running, and like nothing was right on it. The police report was written totally different than what happened.
Jeez.
Um, but yeah, they beat my ass, took my drugs, let me go. I'm thinking they robbed me because they took all my money, and it's just nothing happened up from it. So two
Wow.
years later, I'm not even selling drugs anymore. I'm playing poker full time, and I'm walking through. Great. That's another podcast in itself, but fun couple of years.
Wow.
I'm walking through a park one night, and I get stopped by a cop, and it turns out I have a warrant with a $20,000 bond. So
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty big. I ended up bonding out. I had some money saved up from poker, so I got a lawyer, and he said he could get me off, but he wanted me to have a job by the time we went to court, or get me off without at least going to prison.
uh-huh.
And so there was this guy I knew from the poker table. I knew he made good money, but I didn't really know what he did. So I call him up and I'm like, "Hey man, can you get me a job?" And he's like, "I got you. I happen to be opening a market in St. Louis. That's where I'm from."
Okay.
And I find out later he called his manager in St. Louis. He's like, "I got this kid Andrew. He's kind of ghetto. He's probably not gonna work out, but he's my friend, so we'll give him a shot." You see
Yeah.
me now, I wear suits, but I grew up in the '90s, early 2000s, so I used to wear baggy jerseys, sag my pants, red rag hanging out my pocket, hat cocked to the side. I come a long ways, but I go into this office where these guys are, and they're in those days we were selling cable door to door for a company called AT&T, and all these guys are making $1,000 a week, and back then that was all the money in the world to me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like I didn't know shit about legit sales at that point in time, at least, but I didn't really know shit about sales. But
Right.
I knew I was better than those guys. So what I did was I just came in and busted ass. The when I first started, I didn't even have a car, so I'd get dropped off at noon,
Yeah.
picked up at yeah, picked up at
Mountain
9.
doors.
Yeah, these guys would take hour-long lunch breaks. I'd pack a lunch, I'd sit on the curb and go back to knock, and it took me a long time. I'm surprised I didn't quit because my very first week I only made $162 working 12 hours a day, that kind of
Well,
schedule.
let me ask you something. That's something pretty powerful you said. There's like you didn't quit. I mean, what do you think that made the difference, that you didn't quit? I mean, did you think about it And then why didn't you, you know?
Well, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I knew for a fact I was gonna get to that $1,000 a week pay point. And then I even knew people that were making more than that. And I knew eventually I could get there. And so I had the plan and I had the vision and I believed in myself.
That's key right there, don't you think? I mean, if you, I mean, yeah, you got to believe in yourself. That's actually, part of my story. Actually, I've been out of federal prison for 10 years, and it honestly, I was very successful before, and like I didn't know who I was, dude. I was lost, and so you have to believe in yourself. Until I, you know, made that shift, and really, there's a lot of pieces to make that happen too that I really was not paying attention to. You got to forgive yourself, and you can't worry about what others think, and you just got to find out and remember who you are. And it really comes down to those core values of who I am, to remember, what I believe about myself, and to get that confidence back.
Absolutely, man. A lot of people they'll ask me like, Andrew, do you believe I can do this? And I'll say, well, I believe what you believe. If you believe you can do it, I believe you can do it. If you don't
Bingo.
believe, well, you probably can't. you know
Yep.
that's been my mindset, man. And so I did get bigger checks, bigger than that $162 paycheck, but I'll never forget that check. And then I'll never forget my first $1,000 paycheck for 1 week. I mean, at least legit. I'd made that much selling drugs, but never off a real job.
Right.
And when I got to that point, it was a total mindset shift for me to where I had to make $1,000 a week. I remember having a bad week where I only made like $600. And like I banged the desk and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get through the week.
Yeah.
All my friends are like, at that point in time, they didn't make that much money. They're like, we don't make that much in a week. And I was like, oh, and that's when it really kind of clicked to me that I had really done something.
Right.
So shortly after that, I got promoted. I was running an office in St. Louis, and I got promoted again. I was in a regional manager type role. I was traveling around the country, training, building sales teams. Well, this entire time I'm on probation. And this is the first time I've made great money legally. So I feel like I'm untouchable, right?
Amen.
And I'm missing probation appointments because I'm traveling. And then when I do show up, I show up and I test dirty for marijuana. That's my drug of choice,
Gotcha.
and and so I thought I was untouchable, but sure enough, in 2013 they touched me. They violated my probation, and I had to go do about 5 months in St. Louis County Jail, and they put me in this rehab program where I'm in there with people that like smoke crack and shoot heroin, and like I'm like I smoke a little bit of weed, and they're like, well, what are you really doing? I'm like, I smoke a little bit of weed. Maybe
Yeah.
my addiction's like I love making money and living a lifestyle. That's my real addiction, to be honest. But um, it was really a blessing in disguise because that entire time, all I did is work on personal development. I read success books, I read motivational books, I read sales books. And when I got out, I hit the ground running. My friend had actually broke off and started her own door-to-door company. And door-to-door, it's kind of a small world.
Okay.
Everybody who's anybody knows everybody, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knew I was fresh out of jail. So she's like, you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. Well, within 2 weeks, I was running an office in Columbia, Missouri. And then within 6 weeks, I was running offices in Columbia, Missouri and La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Wow.
And yeah, it was quick, man. And our client at that time, they had recognized my name from before I went to jail. And they're like, well, why isn't this guy running our offices in Florida? Because Utah is the mecca door to door, but Florida is like the mini mecca because it's warm all year long.
Yeah.
And they had 5 offices down there, maybe 6 offices they wanted me to go run, and it was going to be my first chance to make over 100,000 in a year. And kind of disclosure about me, I grew up poor as shit, middle of St. Louis City, single mom, worked several jobs to put me through school and stuff. But my girlfriend I was dating at that time, not my girlfriend anymore, but the girl I was dating at that time, she grew up pretty well off, grew up on a golf course. Her dad drove a Porsche, her and her mom drove Benzes. So when she heard about this promotion, she didn't get it. And she told me to pick between her and the job. So I picked the job. I went down to Florida. I was building my empire, met another girl. Her and I had a baby. My ex saw on Facebook that I had a baby with another girl and called my PO and told her I was working out of state because I was flying back and forth every month for appointments, because like the promotions in the sales world come quick. Like if you can't be there in 2 weeks, they're going to find somebody else.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, you had the same probation as I did, and I'm assuming I actually don't know for sure this answer. I think I do, but when you're on probation, if you're going to leave the state, you have to get approval, correct?
Yep. And it takes about 3 months to get that approval.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a situation where I'm flying back and forth, and I did what I had to do. I'm the
I,
type of
I
person, if I
got
want
you.
to be successful, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Nothing's going to stand in my way. So my ex sees on Facebook I had a baby with another girl. She calls my PO and tells her I'm working out of state. In 2015, I got extradited from Florida. I ended up doing 6 months in jail again. I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out, and I actually got a really good deal because they're like, "Hey, do this 6 months and you're off probation and everything." But when I got out, I didn't want to travel again because my kid had just turned 1, so I spent half his life in jail at this point in time. So I took a job at Best Buy Mobile, and I hated it,
Oh,
hated it. It's not my style.
yeah.
So I end up there was a big sales trainer that I followed for a long time. I really liked him because he had a similar story to me. He had been to prison for guns and drugs and got out and started a huge successful sales training company. And the only way to get a job with them at that time was to buy his $500 sales training program course and then sell it to 5 people on your own with no help. And then he'd give you
Really?
an interview, and you weren't even guaranteed a job, it was just an interview.
Wow.
So
That's weeding out the people for
yeah,
sure. You get guys coming out back into that, you got a pretty good, most of the time you'd have a pretty good contact there.
yeah, you're gonna have some killers with that strategy. It's a great hiring strategy.
Yeah.
So I get mad at Best Buy one day, and like they knew I'd been following this guy and talking about how I want to go work for him and this and that, and I end up walking out, and I was like, I'm gonna go work for this company, and they all laughed at me. It was kind of funny. So I want to say that week or the next week, I got my $800 paycheck, whatever it was, and I took 500 of that and bought that program.
Uh-huh.
And at this point in time, I only have like 300 Facebook friends. Like I don't have the network they have now. Now I'm connected with thousands of salespeople and business people,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. But then I didn't know. I really didn't know have the network. So I'm grinding my network for a couple of weeks trying to sell this program, following up with people, but I haven't sold anybody yet. So I got a 1-year-old at this point in time. Got to at least have some money coming in. So I'm knocking door at night. I'm grinding for the trying to sell the program. During the day, I'm knocking doors to for cash for my buddy that runs a landscaping company, just to have a couple of bucks coming in.
Okay.
Well, I wake up one morning and I see the guy that runs this company had posted on Facebook. He's like, I'm looking to hire a savage. We're gonna have an online interview, and he's got a group of like 30,000 salespeople. He's like, I'm gonna let my group vote on who I should hire. If you're not willing to work 90 hours a week, don't do this. You're gonna be up at 4:30 every morning, this and that. And like, I'm like, dude, that sounds like me. I'm Jack. Let's do this. And so like, I go to comment on this dude's status, and like 200 people have already commented on it. So I'm like, man, he's not even gonna see it. So I kind of forget about it, move on. I drive out to where I'm working at. And at that point in time, I'm driving a shitty car with like no air conditioning, roll up windows. And I get out, and this guy, his big thing is selling through video. So
Oh
I'm like, you know
wow.
what? Fuck it. I'm gonna shoot him a video, and I'm just gonna go jump straight in his DMs.
Yeah.
No dick pics, just videos. But
Stand out, brother. Yeah.
but yeah, so I jump in his DMs and I send a video. I throw on my dress shirt. I got in the back seat. I'm all sweaty as shit because it's summertime and I got the windows rolled up. There's no AC. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? My name is Andrew Sayles. I want to come down and close some leads down with you, baby. I'm a closer. Send me the leads. Send me the shit leads. I don't give a fuck. I'll close them down. Just give me some leads. Let's do this. Like I'm hyping myself up.
Oh
This and
yeah.
that. He ends up responding to me, and we chat for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, is there any reason that you wouldn't hire me? And he's like, well, like 2,000 people have applied already. So, I'll let you know in a few weeks or a week. So what I did was every day for the next week, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. because he said you're going to be working from 4:30 a.m. on. And I sent him a video of myself in front of the clock being like, what's up, man? I'm ready to work. Where are the leads? Send them over. I'll close them down. I'll work for free. I just want to get in. I don't give a fuck. Let's do this. And I did that every day for a week. And that Sunday, we had a mutual friend on Snapchat, and I saw he was at the bar at like 2 a.m. when I got up. So I was like, hey, what's up? I still did my video. I was like, hey, what's up, man? I saw you out late last night. You're probably sleeping. I'm going to let it slide this time, but I'm ready to work, baby. When you wake up, you send me those leads. I'll close them down. And sure enough, that next day, he tagged me and 13 other people in a post saying that he was going to let us all do an online interview, and he's going to let the group vote on who he should hire. And kind of longer story short, I crushed the interview, end up coming on and in the interview when they voted, I had 3 times as many votes as second place.
Wow. I mean, that's really, I mean, killer right there for those, you know, up and coming entrepreneurs or those that, have the dream but really don't know where to start or take the action, there's something really powerful that you just heard. Andrew knew what he was doing. And in the marketing world, there's so much noise, so much going on. We see thousands of ads a day. And obviously, Andrew's trying to make an impact, and that's the key. So how do you stand out? He just explained it. Dude, that was powerful. And bottom line is, you knew what you wanted. You were clear about it. So you executed a plan to help yourself achieve the goal you were trying to get. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you smashed everybody else, because you were doing, number one, what most people won't, or most people honestly don't think about. So that is huge. That is big. You got to find a way to stand out if you want to be noticed, because in sales and in getting leads, bottom line is, he who gets the most attention gets the most leads. It's no different than trying to get that job. You stood out head and shoulders above everybody. Don't you think that was bottom line the difference? Plus, obviously, your energy and the way you handled yourself in the interview obviously made an impact too. So that's powerful as heck.
Yeah, it all adds up, man. At the end, one thing I tell all my sales reps, a lot of the things we do are just little things. You do all the little things right, and at the end of the day, they add up to be a big thing. And that's really what I did. And that's what really catapulted me onto this journey in entrepreneurship. That job didn't end up working out with that company, but what it did was it reconnected me with my now mentor, a guy named Bill Rowland. He ran that very first sales company I worked for. It was called 2020 Companies. And he sold it for $150 million, him and his partners.
Oh, wow.
So a super wealthy guy. I ended up reaching out to him on Facebook, and I was like, hey man, you don't know me. I don't know you. I was one of 2,000 sales reps at his company, but I just want to say thank you. Before you, I didn't know about personal development. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I just got out of jail, but I'm going to do big things. And I didn't even expect him to answer me. Well, he ends up shooting me his number back. And kind of long story short, we talked for a while. He took me under his wing 5 years ago, and he helped me build a door-to-door company that I made 120 grand off of a couple of years in a row. And then he helped me start a healthcare company that I scaled to the point of making 50 grand a month before we had to shut it down. And then he actually connected me and my partner with this solar business together that we do now. And it's been monumental. And it's kind of a crazy story how I got here. And that's why I try to do these things and share my story, just to show people what is possible when you decide that you're going to overwhelmingly commit to a task for 5 years. Sure, I put a lot of 90-hour weeks in. In 2018, I spent 6 months on the road away from my family.
Yeah.
But I looked up in 2019, and I went from being in jail, somebody tell me when I could take a piss, to making 50 grand a month. And it really can be done. I'm nobody special. I'm no different than anybody else. I just made the choice. I believed in myself, and I told myself I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And I did it.
Dude, that's the formula for success right there. 100%. Believe in yourself, know what it is you want, and then do the work. One of the things I struggled with, I think a big part of it was I had a very successful real estate appraisal firm, made a whole bunch of money, had doing importing stuff, had a nonprofit. And, so this, for lack of a better way to put it, I was kind of on top of the mountain. My life was pretty much on autopilot from an income standpoint. I had people in positions where I wasn't doing much, and I could go and play golf at the country club. And then when I got indicted, and I got indicted 13 months after I invested in a big real estate development in southern Utah, where I put all the cash I had, almost $1 million, and had about a 7.9 million loans. And
Dang.
a year later, the market tanks. And anyway, the reason I share just that piece is I allowed, and I'll be honest, I got messed up in my head so much too, because my dad was pretty prominent in the Valley. My grandfather was very prominent and successful. And so I really, even like one of the things I say is, through my addiction, I was a very functioning addict for 14 years off of opiates. But through my addiction, I did some things that would have put me in jail, put it that way. My indictment, that's a whole nother story that we don't need to worry about. But, bottom line, wrong place, doing business with the wrong people, etc. I didn't even perform the appraisal, but that stuff doesn't matter because that was a blessing for me too. And that was part of my journey to have to go to prison because of the things I learned. But what I wasn't paying attention to was that I let the things in my mind hold me back once I got out for a very long time. And until I did the work on me, because I kind of, I'd been around, I grew up, upper middle class. And so I was around a dad who did a lot of the things and went to seminars, and he did Stephen Covey's teeth. He was his dentist and would sit at the dinner table and ask, "Oh, what's habit this?" or things like that. So I was exposed
really
to that
cool,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, it was, and I was exposed to that stuff, but I didn't get into it. And another thing that was powerful that I heard you say, I'm not a reader. I read 114 books in prison in 14 and a half months, but I allowed this to cripple me mentally so bad that I was reading stuff. If I could do it all over again, I'd do what you did. I read a few business books here and there, but I think my ego was subconsciously still there, that I didn't need that stuff. So I was reading books to just numb myself out, like going to the movie, getting into the novels and all that garbage. That's really crazy because that's not who I am, but
Yeah.
so for those that hear this, that maybe have a loved one in prison or something, one of the biggest gifts you could give them is make that time valuable. Work on you, because success is an inside job. And you also have to put the physical effort and the mind effort into it. But that's what I hear so strong from you is you believed in yourself. No matter what's happening, you kept that, and then you put the effort behind it. It's like they say, it doesn't matter. Imperfect action is better than no action. Absolutely. Because there's no such thing as perfect action. And with the formula you've talked about, you've shared everything that someone needs to know to win. Then you just got to go do it, right?
I agree. That's what it comes down to. It. There's a few basic steps, and obviously anything there's more intricate details along the way. But if you commit to
Sure.
those few basic steps, the details are going to fall in line.
Bottom line, yeah, there's certainly a lot more to it. It's kind of like I was running my dad's full service car wash, and my grandfather ran BYU food service for 35 years, him and my grandmother. And when he retired, my dad got his butt kicked in the car wash because of absentee ownership. I dropped out of college to basically go be in the game and run it. And that was intimidating as heck. I'm 19 and, the owner's son, and now I'm the boss. But I, finally just stepped into that and owned it and had the confidence to, if people thought something, employees, whatever, because there was a lot of guys there older than I was, and anyway, so when my grandfather retired, he would just kind of piddle around, and he's the detail guy, and coming to tell me, he has a putty knife and he's scraping the baseboard, and saying, "Hey, you got to talk to your guys that come in and wax the floors at night. They're being sloppy." And, he's real detailed, but there's a couple of things he usually taught by example, which is very powerful. But the principles he taught me, I don't think no matter what business you're in, will never change. There's also a lot of other things, but these main core things that he taught me is, your customer is the most important thing. And in regard to the car wash business, it was, you got to give them the best quality car wash in the best amount of time. So it doesn't matter what business you're in, give them the best value of what it is you're selling, at the best value. And then, like you've had teams and stuff, so you've had your own businesses. So then you have to make sure that your people know that you value them as much as you value your customer, because without either one of those two, you are not in business. And that's what I took when my dad sold the car wash, got into the appraisal, started a real estate appraisal firm. And I built that up, had 8 full-time appraisers. We were doing 7, figures a year just appraising real estate. And I carried into a few other things on the business side now. And so I think, with the things that you've shared, and then just always focusing on always providing the value, over deliver, always under promise, over deliver, give them more than what they pay for. And make sure that people working in your organization with you, even if they're subcontractors, I have a lot of subcontractors. They're all getting Christmas bonus. Some are overseas, but that also shows them that they're important. And, you want guys to feel appreciated because, in fact, I've given a lot of cash bonuses over the year, and people forget about the cash, even though it's great, but my appraisers, they all
I
got,
agree with that actually.
yeah, they all got, my appraisers all got Rolexes. I run into a few of them occasionally here and there. My little brother was one of them, but that's the thing that they still always bring up because they're always wearing them, and that really ties into culture and some other things. But dude, you got an incredible story, and so you've got a few businesses. I know that now you're not in the TV game, you're in the solar game, right? It's Solar Energy Service, or Solis, Solis Energy Services.com, right?
Yep, that's our website.
Are you guys selling
And
nationally?
yeah, so we're in a few markets. You know, we're about a year old with this company. What we do is we work in Missouri, Illinois, Florida, tech all over Texas, and then we'll be expanding to Nevada and North Carolina in the first quarter of the next year. It's kind of, you know, we don't want to overextend ourselves. We will be in every state eventually, but it's just we're taking on 2 or 3 states at a time.
Dude, that's phenomenal. So, yeah, you've had a lot of success, and I mean, dude, you're sounds like you're tearing it up. Are you the owner? Did
You
you
know,
found Solis,
there
or
so my partner, he actually runs another solar company out of Florida, and he wanted to start. The stars really lined up for us. You know, he wanted to start a solar company in St. Louis. I wanted to start a solar company when I had to shut down my healthcare company because they changed government regulations. And then the first thing I found out was if you want to do it right, it costs about $1 million. And I didn't have
oh
$1 million
wow,
saved up, so I couldn't do it. Well,
yeah,
my mentor knew this guy, and he connected us, and I've been able to work myself into owning a small part of the company as well. So it's been a great experience for me. It's really worked out, and I've learned a lot from my partner about running a business that I thought I knew damn near everything, but it turns out I knew damn near nothing. So it's been an awesome experience.
it's like they say, we don't know what we don't know, right? And there, you
Yep.
always
Yep.
you always got to be learning, and the little bit that we've interacted, there's no doubt in my mind that that's something that you're always doing because you have massive goals, I'm assuming, and you reach them every time, from what it sounds like to me.
Eventually, man, if you never quit, you're never gonna lose. Eventually, you're gonna get there, and that's one thing I think that what you said that I don't think enough people say is you need to stay learning. When you stay learning, you grasp new concepts easier and faster. I'm steps ahead of the competition all the time because I'm
Yeah,
constantly learning. Like when I take a shower, I put it on an audio book in the shower because that's an extra
yeah,
20, 30 minutes that I have for self-education. When I'm
yeah,
driving across the country, I throw it on audiobook. If I'm driving from St. Louis to Maryland, that's about a 12-hour drive. I can get through maybe a book or two, on that ride. And then even with I even push that down through the cultures within my company. Obviously I lead from the front. They see me do that
yeah,
stuff, but I ingrain in them that they need to do that stuff too if they want to get to the level I'm at. So when I start with new reps and we're training right out to the field together, I use the van or the car as an extension to our office to where we'll put on an
yeah,
audio book. We'll listen to a chapter. We go around, everybody talks about it. And then I get them in the habit of public speaking a little bit too along the way. So
dude,
it's all about growing yourself and then also growing the people around you, above you, and below you.
yeah,
The same thing extends to my partner. He's a very successful multimillionaire, but he had never done any kind of advertising on video until he met me. And so now I got him doing things that he's never
yeah,
done. He's teaching me things. And just the synergy like that is crazy if you can surround yourself with people like that, and anybody can surround themselves with it. We don't pick our family, but we can pick our friends, and so you can go out
right.
and build a network of people that are growing with you.
That's so true. Most people, I know you've heard it, but you're really only as good as the five people you surround yourself with, and that's a big part of what kept me stuck. It wasn't that I wasn't surrounded by the right people. It wasn't I wasn't surrounding myself with anyone. I was just kind of, staying in the background, and that's really what led to a lot of my success before. Was I was always out networking. I always told people that asked me, not only was I doing what I was doing, but I also was a rainmaker. If someone was doing a project or something, hey, I got the contacts, so I can hook you guys up. And you can't do that without having relationships, and that's a huge key. I mean, I can tell that that's been key to you climbing different spots, and to the point of having equity in a business, is because number one, you've provided value to those people, which has created great relationships. And when it comes down to it, everything comes down to relationships. And for the entrepreneurs out there who are either struggling or haven't even started, like the fastest way to get from where you're at to where you want to go is find people that have been there and been through it and network with them. People, yes, there's a lot of people out there, and it does cost money a lot of times for consultants or mentors, but there's a lot of people. I know Andrew would give, I would give, because people love to give. So if you want to shoot a question to me on Facebook through message or something, I'm there to answer a question. I'm happy to do that stuff, because we all feel better when we're more fulfilled, when you're doing something that does benefit others. You can't be depressed, angry, sad, whatever emotion you can think of, if you're actually doing something for somebody else.
I agree, man. I like that. It's all about adding value out into the community and not expecting anything in return, but generally it comes back one way or another.
That law of reciprocity is just a universal law. It just does. It comes back. So, well, man, dude, I appreciate your time, and look forward to staying in touch and, making
Oh,
moves and
thanks, man.
getting, bigger impact on more people. I know that's your goal. That's my goal. We just want to give back and help other people and make an impact, in the world. So,
For
so
sure.
what are some of the other places folks can find you? Obviously, the soulenergyservices.com, your Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook is just your name, Andrew Sayles, Sayles, correct?
Yep, Sayles. Same thing for LinkedIn. I have a podcast as well called Sayles Tales, like my name, Sayles Tales. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you listen, we're there.
Hey, go
Feel free to
check that
reach out to
out.
me on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah. For those of you listening, go check that out. I listened to a little bit this morning, and it's subscribed. It's going to be, it's one of my go-tos. Energy is a big piece, of going and conquering the things you want. You can't do it if you, lack energy and you're not effective. I mean, not only was the videos key, in my opinion, for you, getting that job, but your energy, because I can feel it, even though we're talking online, and that makes a difference. So, I love what you're doing, man, and keep it up, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks a lot, man. I can't wait to get you on my podcast when you got a few minutes. And if you ever want to do this again, I'd love to jump back on.
Hey, well, those of you out there, jump over to Sayles Tales on your favorite platform. Go to Apple, actually. Give a listen, give a 5-star review, subscribe. And if you have any questions, reach out to any of us. We'll be happy to answer them. Take care, brother. We'll be in touch.
Thanks a lot, man.
Okay, take it easy.